New evidence from a groundbreaking study suggests that taking a hike may lead to decreased stress levels and a significant spike in dopamine, the local outdoorsman states. So while you may be tempted to hop in your car and drive to the nearest trail, let's review some important tips on your first hike, starting with what gear to bring to knowing when you're lost on trail and how to correct it to ensure your chances of returning to a trail are a lot higher than the mountains you climb. Brought to you by the Captain Channel. What's going on, everybody? My name is Trey and welcome back to the Captain Channel, where we are all things travel and outdoors. I feel like the travel here lately has been up to a minimum because, you guys know why. Right? So, chances are, if you've come across this video, you've either went to YouTube or Google and typed in hiking tips for beginners or beginner advice for first-time hikers, and good news is you have come to the right spot. So, I want to share with you guys a little bit of my experience hiking and how I got started hiking. It was actually on a college spring break, my first ever one, and my roommates at the time and a few friends decided to go up to Boone, North Carolina and camp out for an entire week. The only problem with that is it's very cold in March in Boone, and we're trying to find a way to break up the coldness, and we're trying to find a way to warm up, and we decided to go on a hike. Maybe that's going to help us break a sweat, stay active, get moving. And we come across Grandfather Mountain, and those of you who know Grandfather Mountain already are laughing at me because you're like, it's cold and Grandfather Mountain is not a very beginner friendly trail. And so we had no hiking experience whatsoever. So out of the 6 people who went, 5 of us made it to the top and 1 left with a sprained ankle halfway up. And in this video, I really want to share with you guys some tips, some pointers, some tips of advice to help you go along on your first hike. And I really want to start with the first question, which is, do you have to be in shape to go hiking? Do you have to be in shape to go enjoy the outdoors? In all honesty, it comes down to the terrain of the trail and the length of the trail that you're going to be on. If the trail happens to take place on a mountainside, just know it's going to require a lot more exertion than a flat trail. You absolutely do not have to be in perfect shape to enjoy the outdoors, but if you're concerned about this topic, I would first recommend discussing it with your doctor first before taking on any trail. Once cleared from the doctor's office, I would start with small 5-minute walks around your neighborhood or apartment complex if possible, and build up to half an hour or more of endurance. I've personally hiked a few trails, and in the hot summer months, it is not unusual to see ambulances at the trailhead. I don't want any of this to scare you away from hiking or the outdoors, but even the most fitted, capable hikers can still suffer from overexertion, heat strokes, and dehydration. My advice would be trust your gut and gain a better understanding of physical limits. Now that we've established a base fitness level, let's talk a little bit about the gear. A common thought among first-time hikers is that they think they need to start out with a ton of gear, but that is simply not true. My normal day hiking gear typically consists of the following, and most of which are optional. A light hiking bag, which includes water bottles, headlamps, snacks, a battery pack because you got to stay connected and stay charged, emu, pocket knife optional, bug spray for the summer months, hiking shoes, and if it's sunny outside, a hat and sunglasses. I would argue that the 2 most important things on a hike is water and footwear. Water is self-explanatory, and the rule of thumb is a half liter, which is 2 cups of water per hour of hike. Now this is just a guide, and personally I don't measure out what I bring by the cup, so I typically will bring around 64 ounces of water, which is 2 32-ounce Yetis. This will typically cover a 46-hour hike for both Jessica and I. And while at first thought, shoes may not be an important factor while hiking, but I can wholeheartedly say that your shoe choice can determine if your hike was great or if you're going to need an intense foot massage afterwards. Now that we have your gear requirements, let's jump into question number 3. What should you consider a beginner-friendly trail? I will start with a trail no more than 2 to 4 miles round trip and 4 to 6 hours in total. If you are having trouble with finding a trail that you find comfortable hiking, I would highly suggest downloading an app called All Trails, which is an app dedicated to everything outdoors and trail related. The cool thing about this app is that you can filter by location, distance, difficulty, and you're also able to see routes that users have taken with recent photos of the trail provided by the community of hikers that partake. This is not sponsored in any way, but I can personally testify that All Trails is a vital tool to the hiking community. Another thing to pay attention to is the elevation gain on any given trail, which means how far vertically you will hike. The reason this is important is because some trails can be very short but have very steep inclinations. Now that you did your research and found your trail, the next question to ask is, how much time should I allow myself? At some trailheads there will be an info board that will help you gain a sense of any closures, animals to look out for on trail, vegetation to avoid stepping on, and even sometimes a map of how long the trail is with a timetable of how long the trail should take. I would add 1 to 2 hours on top of any given trail ETA simply because you may want to stop and rest, take in the beautiful scenery, or even take some ground-worthy pics or set up an eno at the peak to enjoy all the hard work you just put in. Another tip to keep in mind is that daylight can sometimes be a factor into planning your hike, which is the worst thing would be watching a sunset from a mountaintop while having a 3-mile hike back down when you forgot your headlamps. Also, some trails do have an hours of operation, which the park will close for the night, leaving some folks being locked in by the gate. By now you have enough information on how to decide what you need to bring, what trails best suit you, and how to manage your time on trail. Now it's time to load up the car, set the GPS, and head down to one of our very own local mountains, Crowder's Mountain State Park, and you are in for a treat, guys, because we are in the middle of spring, which is one of my favorite times to hike as a landscape photographer. Up until now, everything has been nothing but theory and preparation, but once officially on trail, it is time to start thinking about how to stay safe when you're out in the great outdoors, starting with how to tell if you're going the right way. This sounds like a no-brainer, but sometimes it can be difficult to know if you're going the right way or not. So let's discuss some tips that help keep you on trail. As soon as you're about to embark on your journey, look for a trail map if available. If the park has a visitor center, then that's going to be your best friend. Walk in and say hello and ask for a trail map. Typically, mountains will have multiple trails that can lead to the same peak or different peaks. And even sometimes you will need to take connecting trails to your peak. Know the name of your specific trail, and this will help you when you are passing by trail markers. 95% of public trails use a guidance system we call trail markers or blazes, which are painted symbols on a tree or a small object nailed to a tree. Each trail has a unique blaze that separates it from nearby trails. Knowing the blaze of your trail can help keep your hike on time and potentially save you from getting lost. Blazes are marked about every 1/10 of a mile or so. If you do not see any blazes and the map is making your head spin, as it can do sometimes, always feel free to find other hikers and ask them which trail this is and which peak does it lead to. When in doubt, with no one to help out, nor any blazes to look for, always backtrack on your current trail until you can find someone or find a blaze marker. By now, you should feel pretty confident to take on that first hike. We discussed everything on how to pick your trail, what to bring, and how to stay on trail. But with the outdoors gaining popularity, especially since recent years in social media and plus the pandemic, it has led to an increased amount of foot traffic, which ultimately leads to an increased amount of pollution and littering among the trails. So let's take some time to discuss how to respect and take care of our parks so they can remain for generations to come. You may already be familiar with the Leave No Trace principles, but if you're not, let's review. Number 1, plan ahead and prepare. We've already talked about this a little bit, and including how to pick your trail, what to bring, and maybe check some weather forecasts to make sure your hike's gonna go pretty smoothly. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. We haven't really touched up on this one since this video we talk about how to prepare for your first time hike, but if you're going to camp out, make sure it's in a designated campsite area. Number 3, dispose of waste properly. This means do not leave your doggy's poop bag on the side of the trail. Find a bin. Don't leave your granola wrapper or throw it off a cliff or anything like that. Just find a bin and throw away your trash. Number 4, leave what you find. This includes insects, vegetation, animals. Don't take anything home with you that you didn't come with. Number 5, minimize campfire impacts. Put out any fire that you have. Cover up the hole that you dug for the fire if you did, and please use fallen timber before you decide to cut down new trees. Number 6, respect wildlife. Don't get too close to them, don't chase wildlife, and also for our photographers and videographers out there, do not fly your drones around wildlife as it could scare them and rush them into oncoming traffic, causing unneeded casualties. Number 7, be considerate of other visitors. Say if you have a speaker, don't play it too loudly if it's on a crowded trail. If you have a large group, please make sure that it's one behind the other and not shoulder to shoulder, taking up the entire trail. I don't want to waste too much time getting into each of these principles in depth because they could truly be an entire 10-minute video by itself, and I'm sure there's some blogs and some videos out there that will discuss this a lot more in detail than I possibly ever could. So if you would like more information, I have listed the leavenotrace.org website down below in the description. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you were able to learn something. So let's quickly recap. You don't have to be in perfect shape to start hiking. You don't need a ton of gear to get started with. Actually, from what most of you guys have, it's probably good enough. Always use all trails to help prepare, help plan for your trail, and always check the weather forecast. That doesn't hurt at all. Always add 1 to 2 hours on top of your trail given ETA. It gives you a little bit of buffer time in case things doesn't go right. And if you get lost on trail, don't blame me because I told you to check your what? Yeah, that's right. Check your trail markers so you don't get lost, or just, you know, ask somebody on trail where you're at. So I don't want any of you guys to get lost. As you know, the great outdoors is a big part of my life. I could be out there every single day if I could. I could honestly live out there if I had my own camper. But I hope your first hike is filled with success and a lot of good memories. If you found any value out of this video, if you found any tips that you're going to be able to use, give this video a thumbs up, as it's going to push it out to more people that's looking to go on their first hike as well. If you're into the travel, outdoor, adventure, lifestyle, feel free to subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, as you don't want to miss anything from this channel, guys. We're getting better at this filming thing, I promise you. And we will see you in the next video, which is going to be taking a cruise around the Atlantic Ocean. I can't wait to share that with you guys. I'm excited to go on it myself. This is my first time cruise ever. So be sure to check in a couple of weeks and we should have something for you. So peace out from the Captain Studio. We will see you guys in the next one. Love you guys.